This episode of Lawyers Tell All is brought to you by Law Firm Conversions. If your law firm's phone is ringing, that only means your marketing is successful. It's what happens when the phone is answered that will drive your success or failure. Visit www.intakeacademy.com and claim your free copy of this groundbreaking book, along with resources on mental health for intake specialists and empathy. Plus, become eligible to receive a free 15-minute consult with Chris Mullins. Welcome to the Lawyers Tell All podcast, where Chris Mullins, the preeminent sales and communications consultant in the legal industry, shows you how it looks through lawyers' eyes. Here, innovators in the trenches provide powerful insights that help you connect with new clients, handle the sometimes harsh realities of the legal profession, and embrace the mindsets needed to succeed. Be sure to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, tune in, and let's take a deep dive.
Hello, everyone. It's Chris Mullins with Lawyers Tell All. And today I'm going to be interviewing Paul. How do you say your last name? Campson?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to be interviewing attorney Paul Campson. Better Call Saul. No?
Yeah, close. Better Call Paul.
Yeah. But that's where you got that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I love that show. That was amazing.
It was a great show. And the tagline Better Call Paul has performed so well, Chris, that we actually trademarked it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that's a perfect opportunity to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a personal injury lawyer here in New York City for over 30 years. My partner is my wife, the other Campson. We met in court over 28 years ago on a case, opposite sides. And once the case settled, we got together. Been married for 27 years. We've had our own firm for going on 23 years now, and it's been great.
That's wonderful. That's excellent. All
Yes.
right. And so tell me a little bit about, I know that because of the show, Better Call Paul, but is that what gave you the idea, and or how is it taken off?
So what was interesting, as you know, as a fan of the show, Saul was a very creative person. Sometimes he skated the ethical lines a bit. We don't do that here, but it was very interesting to see how his outside the box thinking got better results for his clients. And I think that's what we're trying to do here at Campson Campson as well.
Okay, awesome, wonderful. So tell me this, why did you become a lawyer?
So right out of high school, I didn't go to college. I got a job working with one of my friends' father, who was a general contractor. And then when he had some trouble, I got into the Carpenters Union as an 18-year-old apprentice. I did some work there, and then said, you know what? I was always a big reader of history, and so many historical figures were lawyers, even if they didn't practice law, like Franklin Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, all the Abe Lincoln. And I always thought that even if I didn't practice law, it would be a good degree to have, so I could have as many options open to myself as need be.
Okay, so that's a pretty good answer. There's no other answer, kind of like drill down, like kind of.
Yeah, no, that's kind of it. And I always consider myself a fairly charitable guy, and ever since I was little, playing organized sports and everything, we've always had this, a calling, if you will, to help the underrepresented. So everybody knows the only thing I hate is a bully. And I think in these days, when people are bullied or trying to take advantage of, for whatever reason, race, religion, gender, any of these things, it's just wrong, and it really gets my back up. And I think that having a law degree and able to represent some of these people who may not have access to the courts or access to very good attorneys, frankly, is a very rewarding thing for my wife and I to be part of.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Now, one of the things that you had said for some from questions or thoughts was the importance of branding and getting to know your clients as people and not just clients. I'm interested in that. I just like you to just expand on that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So I have a lot of friends who are lawyers, of course, and lawyers love to gossip, and we love to talk about things. And my friends who are attorneys are appalled that I give my clients my personal email. I give my clients my cell number. But to me, particularly in this day and age, these clients want access. They want justice. They want to know that somebody's available for them all the time. I have clients call me on Saturday mornings, Sunday afternoons, and I'm happy to take their call, because if it's so pressing for them at that moment to reach out to me, then I'm happy to be there for them. And the flip side is, come the holidays, I get a ton of happy Thanksgivings, happy holidays from my clients. Even past clients. We've had, dinners with clients and dinners with past clients. If I'm in the city, I run into a client, we'll have some coffee. I see some people on the subway. They're like, hey, you represented my mother, that type of thing. It's very fulfilling. Okay.
So talk to me about empathy.
Yes.
And so first off, you can give me your take on empathy.
Yes. So, you can't be an effective lawyer, and you certainly can't be an effective trial lawyer if you can't step into the shoes of your client. And to do that, you've got to get to know your client as a person, what he or she thinks, how he or she lives, who they love, who they hang out with, what they read. So we visit them in their homes. We get to know their family, we get to know their friends, we get to know, do they like Coke? Do they like Pepsi? Do they watch this TV show? Do they watch that TV show? And only then can we begin to tell a story of who they are and what this injury, how it impacted not only their life, but the lives of their family and friends. So when we stand up in front of a jury, it's not a case I got last week and I'm going to try the case. It's very personal for me, and I know these people, and I know how to frame the questions and pick a jury that will be most sympathetic to my client. And that's the beginning and end of empathy. If you can't empathize with your client, you're in the wrong profession.
So just tell me just a little bit more about how the empathy helps the story with the jury.
Sure. So, not every client is educated. Not every client is a white man. Not every client is, lives in a certain area. So to get to know clients from different backgrounds, different education levels, different religions, races, things of that nature, you really have to sit down and speak with them and say, well, how do you feel about this? What do you think about this system? And for example, in the Bronx, a lot of these my clients are Yankee fans, because the courthouse is across the street from Yankee Stadium. Talk to them about the sports, and we get in front of a jury and we're picking a jury. I could say, what, my client is a Yankee fan. He or she lives, down the block from the stadium. They go to this McDonald's, this type of thing. And it's really, they get an understanding that I know my client knows me, and they can see the way my client and I interact when my client's on the stand, when the court's not open, but we're together. They can see how we interact with each other and know that there's a real bond here. They're not just lawyer and client.
And so I would imagine that when you're sharing that kind of information, the jury could potentially be feeling like they know the client and maybe even like the client, right?
Yes. Yes. It's always that there, but for the grace of God go I, right? It's always like, if I was ever in a catastrophic accident, would I want Paul Campson and Campson Campson to represent me? right? Is this somebody that cares about his client? Or is he just in there for the money, trying to get a quick settlement, on to the next one? At the end of every case, a jury case, I would say at least 2 to 3 jurors always ask me for my business card afterwards, which is very rewarding. And because they know, there's always hugs and kisses from the client and thank you notes and things of that nature. These testimonials that are just, you can't fake the genuineness of it.
Yeah, priceless. Okay.
Yes.
So still a little bit more about empathy. So
Sure.
I train in my business in
Yes.
Academy attorneys.
Yep.
About empathy and communication and sales.
Yes.
And intake departments. And empathy is like top of the list for me with teaching.
Yes.
It is also the biggest challenge.
Yes.
Teaching empathy. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of people just look at it as a job. For example, as someone who is an expert on intake, you would know that if you're intake person, or if it probably shouldn't be a receptionist, but if it is your reception, whoever gets the initial call, if they're very robotic, hi, my mother was killed in a car accident. Okay, what was the date of the accident? What was, instead of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for your loss. What do you need? That type of thing. So we listen to all of our intake calls. We play them back. We oftentimes, myself or my wife, Dawn, will get the live handoff. So they'll say, we have a new client on the phone, you're available. One of us inevitably will get on the phone with them. And even it's just to introduce ourselves and then send it back to the intake expert to fill out all the other details. But they know right then that they're going to get myself on the phone, my wife on the phone, and they're going to have access to us immediately.
And so I love the handoff idea. Some of the firms that I work with, they do it like they also do it at the very end. I don't think it really matters either way, but at the very end, if the attorney's available, they'll say, the attorney would like to just kind of welcome you to the firm, that kind of thing. So,
yes.
But I want to talk a little bit more about empathy, because why is it that the attorneys have such a challenge with providing empathy to clients?
Yeah, I think it's probably twofold, Chris. I think number one, a lot of attorneys haven't been in an accident. They don't know what it's like to be injured and what that entails and how that feels and how that impacts the entire family. Second of all, I think attorneys are they're very busy, and I think that if they work for a law firm and so forth, they're not incentivized to be empathetic. It doesn't matter to them one way or the other. If they don't get this case, they'll get another case, and who really cares? My boss is paying for it. I don't care. We have plenty of cases. So it's just another call for them. When you have your own firm and your own name out there, it really makes a difference. In today's market, a client can hire anybody. They can hire these gigantic law firms that advertise on TV and at tennis matches and billboards all over the place, or they can hire somebody who, you're going to call and you're going to get me on my cell phone. You're going to shoot me a text and I'm going to respond to you. I think that's the kind of level that clients want. They want to know they have somebody that they can count on and is available to them.
Yeah. But so we listen to call recordings all the time.
Sure.
And some of the call recordings are the attorneys. And they'll hear Mrs. Smith say, my car flipped around and landed on the side, and my daughter is in the hospital and I just got out of the hospital, and a really horrific accident. And they don't say anything. No empathy at all.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes. It's to listen to that call. It's horrifying as a business owner, right?
Yeah.
And just on a human level, it's almost unbelievable.
It's the human level that I'm very shook up about.
Right. It's unbelievable. And it's also like in this past month, we had 3 new cases come into the office from calls we got that we didn't take, but we took the time to tell them why we weren't able to help them. And then they, after we didn't take their case, referred somebody to us whose case we took.
Mhm.
So even if you want to just take it on a purely selfish level,
Yeah, selfish is a good word, yeah.
take the time and listen to these people.
Yeah.
You know, they're calling you, and you should view it as a privilege that they're calling you, because they could call anybody.
Mhm. And it's also the idea of, how about being grateful that you have a job?
Yes. Yes. Grateful you have a job. Grateful that you're in a position to maybe help somebody.
Right.
Really change their lives. These people are calling and they've had something bad happen to them.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
terrible.
yes, they want somebody to take the time and listen to them. They want to tell their story. They want
Mhm.
advice.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want, a direction. They
Mhm.
want a game plan.
Yeah.
They want all of these things, but
Yeah.
also they want someone to listen.
Exactly, and that's why they reached out to you. It's a privilege, really. So,
Yeah, it is a privilege, correct?
so I noticed on your website here, it
Yes.
says, an injury law firm, an accident firm, unlike any other.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Right. So one of our slogans, and we live this, is once in a lifetime results every day. Your accident is unique to you. Chris, if you called me and said I had a car accident, I have plenty of cases where a car accident. I
Mhm.
don't have your car accident case. It's your car accident case. It's unique to you. We're going to take the time. We're going to take you through it and say, Chris, this is what we've done. This is the game plan. Let's be on the same page with everything. We keep our clients in the loop. We tell them, hey, the lawsuit's filed. See the attached lawsuit filed. Here's your index number. You can track it online at this site. You can always see what we're doing. We have a client portal that they can log in and check the status of their case. If they don't, so I think the clients really view us as their partners.
Mhm.
Certainly we have a business relationship and we're partners in that way, but I think they really feel that if they're not the captain of their lawsuit, they're certainly the co-captain.
But how did you get this way? What happened?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I think I've always been an empathetic
Yeah.
person. I think it probably can be taught to a degree, but I think it's either, you like people or you don't, right?
Yeah.
You want to help people or you don't. I think you can fake it a little bit and get away with it,
Yeah.
maybe in front of a jury. But I think if a jury feels that you're compassionate, you feel for your client, I think, that's going to be tough to fake. And these days, when everyone's trying to sell you something and, okay, you got a case, get off the phone, let me do my thing.
Mhm.
That's not what people want,
Mhm.
and I think lawyers are really, and I'm thankful they're really missing the boat on this because they're coming to me.
Yeah, they're coming to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's important.
Yes.
You love what you do, don't you?
I love what I do.
You've always loved what you do.
I always have. I've been doing it for 30 years, and my wife and I have talked about it. I'm like this. What would I retire to? I
Right.
love what I'm doing. I'd go crazy if I had to play golf every day or something. I love helping people. I do it as long as I possibly can because I'm enjoying it, and I feel like I'm providing a service to my clients.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say, for those firms out there, they're doing really well, but if
Yep.
you had like best practices, what recommendation would you give to them to make sure that they at least do X?
Right. I think it's tougher with some of the bigger law firms because they're corporations, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they're big businesses. And I think a lot of the owners and partners at these law firms, they don't want to work. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They brag about, I haven't taken a client's phone call in 10 years. I haven't responded to an email in 10 years.
Mhm.
Well, okay, that's great. And maybe you have a junior partner or an associate attorney who's good at that stuff, but it's still your name on the door. So I think, I get you may not want to do paperwork at 8 o'clock in the morning. I get that, and there's stuff that you can hand off, but I think client relations is the key to this whole thing. You know,
Mhm.
you look at it with how important Google reviews are, right? Not just for law firms, for restaurants or movies or whatever,
Mhm.
and if you're not getting, Google reviews and people aren't giving you positive social feedback, it's, it may take a while, but it's going to hurt you.
Oh, yeah, it definitely will. I mean, even if you can't help somebody, they can still give a Google review and say they were amazing.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's your take on remote workers? These days, it's a big deal. It's a big thing. A lot of firms are having difficult time hiring like intake and other team members, and they're going
Yes.
remote. What do you think?
So I think now we do employ some remote workers, but only for paperwork, never for client contact, never for client phone calls, things of that nature. So I think there is some benefit in outsourcing. The dreary paperwork, getting medical records, things of that nature. But as far as updating the client and so forth, you need to be hands-on. But I do think, and certainly going forward, there is an area for virtual or remote. I see it a little bit. You would obviously speak more to it than I would with the intakes and calls, and whether it's a virtual receptionist and so forth. But again, the value of the live handoff at some point during the call, I think, is crucial.
But so why just paperwork for remote? Because you can do a handoff, if you're remote.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think the clients are calling Paul Campson because they think I'm gonna send out all their medical records this morning and really do the paperwork good, right? They're calling me to quarterback the case. They're calling me
Right.
as a sound off. So some of the more day-to-day tasks, I think, is a good way to outsource, because if I'm doing the day-to-day tasks, that's less time I have to be the attorney for my client.
Right.
Right. I don't want a client to call me and I can't take the call because I'm doing some paperwork.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. How many intake folks do you have?
So we have 3 varying. We try to direct depending on the call. We have a motor vehicle intake specialist. We have a premise, trip and fall, slip and fall. And we have the other. Of course, there's overlap, but we try to, get people to get into their niche and really, be experts at that.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's a good mindset right there.
Yes.
Can you think of anything else that you want firms to know about their business, about their mindset, about balancing their family with work?
Yeah. I think it's dangerous to rest on your own laurels and believe your own press. If I get a Google review saying, Paul Campson's the greatest attorney ever, I appreciate that, and we could debate whether that's true or not. But the sentiment that I made them feel like I was the greatest attorney ever is the important part of that review. Right. So I think, again, these firms that are just delegating everything and don't want to be bothered by the client, I think that's a bad business strategy.
Yeah. What about balancing family? I mean, especially like in your situation, you sound like you're pretty much 24/7. I mean,
Sure. Yep.
That's an exaggeration, but how do you balance family life and your law firm?
Yeah. So what we do is we have, so when my kids are a little older now, they're both college graduates, but when they were younger, my wife and I, we coached their sports teams and we were very involved, PTA and things of that nature. And that was a real challenge because there's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
But now with more automation like Zapier and, if this happens, do this, and these type of other things, it's very important. I have on my cell phone automatic responses. So if a client calls, it'll automatically, I have a setting that says, I'm in court, please text me, or I can't speak right now. I'll call you back between 4 and 6. And then what we try to do is when we sign the clients up, we try to tell them, if you need to speak was, of course, call us anytime. But if you want to speak to me personally,
Yeah.
it's best after 4 when the courts are closed and I can talk to you. Because
Yeah.
chances are I'm going to be in court. We're going to be doing stuff. So we have these automatic responses set up.
Yeah.
And people respect that. When I go on vacation, I have a response saying, I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm happy to speak to you if you want after 4, but please speak to, X in the firm if you need something right now. And
Yeah.
clients are, they get it. They're real people. They understand, hey, you need a break. And they're very respectful of that. Very few clients in the 20 plus years we've had a firm have abused the cell phone.
Right.
Really, they get it. They're very respectful.
I think probably what's important is, and I would imagine you do this, is doing what you say you're going to do.
Yes.
And once you do that, they build the trust, and they just want you to communicate. So versus nothing at all.
The number one bar complaint is my lawyer doesn't call me back, right?
Yeah.
You know that, Chris, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, and listen, good news, bad news, whatever. I get a motion for summary judgment to dismiss the case. I'm on the phone with the client. I call them up. I'm saying, listen, this is what they're doing. I think we could defeat it because of X, Y, and Z. If you want, I'll send you a copy of the papers. It's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, but I'm happy to do that. And this is the strategy going forward. So it's not like I call them up and say, hey, the judge dismissed the case.
Right.
They're like, what happened? I thought we had a great case. They're always involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody wants to kind of reach out to you and ask you a question,
Yep.
how does that happen?
CampsonLaw.com. Phone number is 866-PAUL-WINS. So please give us a call. We're happy to speak with you. Even if we can't help you, we can certainly put you in the right direction and make sure that you're taken care of.
Which means you're still helping, right?
Still helping. Absolutely. Always helping.
Still helping. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So long, everybody. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Lawyers Tell All, where Chris Mullins takes you on a journey with lawyers in the trenches who show you the realities of what it takes to succeed in this chaotic, crowded, ever-changing profession. Remember to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Lawyers Tell All.